What's up guys, Scrub King here, and this weekend I played in the North America Extravaganza and I ended up getting 10th place with a 6-2 record. Lost in my first round and I lost in round 8, so lost at the ends, but in the middle, we ran it back. I played Drytron. I think Drytron's a really good deck. It can be fragile at times, but I think overall it's a good deck and I've been practicing it ever since. Before I get to the deck profile, just quick shout outs obviously to Team Lit, love y'all. Shout out to my boy Darren for helping me kind of theory the deck a little bit. Shout out to Matt and Orlando for motivating me to not give up after I lost round 1. So that was fun. But all right, we'll just get right into it. So I actually played 3 alpha, so this is extremely standard, and 3 zeta. These are the starters. This is what you want to see. Alpha and zeta together is full combo essentially if they don't have the droll, which they always do. But these are the cards you want to see, so you have to maximize them. In terms of names, I played 2 delta and 2 gamma. A lot of people are just playing 1-on-1, which is perfectly fine. It's okay, but I do like to open up the names. Usually when I lose with the deck, it's because I don't have enough names in my hand. So I'm trying to at least pseudo max out on them. The delta and the gammas are more for the follow-up. And gamma really helps you play again through droll, so it's really good. It's also a shame that Konami didn't make this a super. It's the only rare now, so unfortunate to that. But we take what we can get. We take what we can get. So that's that. So 10 Drytrons basically. Then we're going on to the fairies. 3 diviner. This is standard. You need to play 3. This card is amazing. It's not, sometimes in awkward hands it's not the best because this and alpha isn't necessarily full combo. But it'll get you there. It'll get you there. So it's good to see. And then we played 3 of the orange light. This card is amazing, especially when you open up at least one of your Avas. So this little package here is almost standard now. I don't think there's anything too surprising there. Opening up orange and Ava, sending the Ava, and then banishing the orange light, getting the diviner. It's all what you want to do when you lose the die roll, so it's really nothing too crazy and really good. So those are kind of the little fairy package. I play quite a good amount of rituals. So some people will say the standard, but some people have been cutting the Natasha, and a lot of people don't play the Draconoids. So I just play 5 rituals: the Ben 10, Ida 10, Natasha, Ultimateness, and the Draconoids. So obviously you play the Ben 10 because that's the best one. You play Ida 10 because it comes up in the combo with the Beatrice. I played the Natasha. It comes up sometimes, but I do actually want to play 5 rituals. I do like to open at least 1 ritual in my opening hand. It sometimes helps you play through droll and helps you combo a little bit. And Natasha is crazy. Like, this card wins games. I actually never won with it in time, but it will come up. So it's really good. Ultimateness over perfection. I don't like perfection and the other little package, ritual spell package. So spoiler alert, we're not playing that. I think ultimateness is just too good. It also negates the special summon of the monster. So it's really solid. Draconoids, again, helps you play through droll, which is the card you hate. And it's 4,000 attack. Can't be targeted by your opponent's monster effects. Really solid. It's also a better Drytron. So I think this card is amazing. It won me at least a couple of rounds just playing this by itself, and helps you push for game. So 5 rituals. I would say it's definitely required. This deck is more kind of a utility based versus other decks that are just trying to put up monsters and go for game. Now to the spells. So 3 Cyber Emergency. I played 3 triple tactics talents in the main because you will get hand trapped, and this will help you play through. Obviously droll, you get to look at your opponent's hand and hand shuffle, so your opponent loses 2 cards out of their hand essentially. And other hand traps, they let you kind of play around. This card also comes up a lot versus like the rogue matchups. If they have like a monster, you can just attack over the game. If they have the Dragoon, you can take it, pop everything if they don't play around it. This card is really good in this deck, in my opinion. So it was super solid, overperformed in the Extravaganza. Drytron spells, so 3 Nova, nothing too crazy there. I am actually playing 2 of the ritual spell. Again, you might have heard me say it a couple times, but I do like to play through droll or play at least somewhat around it. So I don't mind actually opening up the ritual spell. So I play 2. Obviously, I'm not too crazy to max out on it. That might get very bricky, but opening, at least having 1 in your hand, isn't too bad at all. So, can't complain. I also, make sure that your Zeta is even more crazy and gets you more free advantage over time, and you can get a free discard off your nightmares. So it's pretty good. So I highly like playing 2. Also, one thing to note is that in the upcoming ban list, the July format, I highly expect a lot more DD Crow to be in the meta, and this card will be a Crow target easy as day, so please be aware of that. And then I just play 1 Fafnir just to round it out. You do kind of, it does, very heavily play into draw. That's why you don't max it out and play a terraforming. But it sometimes can come up as a utility. Also, once again, in the upcoming format, I expect Virtual World to be a very good deck. And this card is Virtual World's worst enemy. So you can, if you leave one of your Drytron names, you can reduce the Virtual World monster level by 1 for every 1,000 attack. And that really screws up their combo pretty good. So this card is pretty solid against that deck, so I highly expect it to come up. And then kind of going to the 1-out spells, so Foolish, definitely play it. And then Call by the Grave, solid. I opened it up once, and it was amazing. Before I get to the rest, I did not play Instant Fusion. I think I will most likely play it. I want to test it out a little bit more. Because obviously if you play this, you gotta play the Millennium in the extra deck. I want to see what I'm gonna play around with in the extra deck. But this is one card that you might want to look into. Really solid, basically Call by the Grave. And then rounding up to make the 40 card deck is 3 Infinite Impermanence. This card is really good. I see people kind of maining other hand traps, and I don't really care too much about the other hand traps, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the Orange Light and Impermanence is enough, I think. This one, I really played it because I hate Tri-Brigade, and that deck can really steamroll if you let it. So Imperming their normal summon Tri-Brigade Beast, and after they banish, is really solid, and it plays around tactics, which is starting to get popularity. So really solid, and the mirror is disgusting. So that's 40 card main. We'll go on to the extra deck. So for links, we have the good old Link Kribo, the IP Masquerena, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, Appaloosa, and Access Code. Nothing too crazy here. So I'm not playing Boral Sword. I really felt that in most situations, Access Code was just more live. I know people that play both. I don't. I think that's just like that's a waste of a utility spot that you can play something else. But these are kind of the 6 main links to go for it. Nightmare Phoenix is really great to pop the Tikaboo that's going to be there. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Appaloosa is amazing in the mirror. You gotta play it. Going on to the Exceeds, so we got 2 Mu Beta Fafnir. So I'll just quickly stop here. A lot of people are playing just 1, which is okay. You definitely can play 1, but I do enjoy 2. Because in some very weird hands, if they have the Imperm and the Droll, you can actually make the second Mu Beta Fafnir in your first turn and put up a Spell and Trap Negate with some banishes with the Draconoids. So I play 2 mainly because of the Draconoids in my main deck. It allows you kind of play through a little bit more, and it's really solid, so that's why. Obviously, and the second one comes up during the turn 3 regardless. So I highly recommend playing 2 if you're building more of the utility-based deck like this one. Rank 1, the other one is the Assemble Nightingale. I made this a total of 0 times over the weekend. But it's a nice to have. Absolutely, definitely should play. I could have made it, but Mu Beta Fafnir was just a better option during those turns. So highly recommend continuing to play this or the Fucho. There's a big debate over one or the other. Who cares? I mean, they do very similar things. This one kind of, you attack directly. The other one's just like really you're auto protected for the turn. So, it depends what the meta is going to be. So this one, Nightingale. Obviously, the Downward Magician, the Beatrice. This card's amazing. You love to see it, even if, you know, sometimes I milled even ultimate. It's like in a weird hands, and it gave me access to him. Or even if they assist and their turn, you're milling again and getting the Ava and still getting two, at least a disruption in weird hands too. And then, you know, the final one is obviously Zeus, the big boy. You know, I made the play actually. It came up where I had a Beatrice on board with no materials. I had kind of very limited card advantage. And I just attacked directly, made the Zeus over, and then used a ritual spell, tribute this, summon out the Ben 10, and then started comboing. So Zeus being a machine is just like amazing. So that came up, so I was happy to see that. And then for synchros, I play the Herald, the OG Herald. You play this for Diviner. And then I play the Black Roll Dragon. So it's kind of a utility spot that people sometimes play Boral Sword in. I like just having the option to destroy the board. Sometimes if you can't go into Zeus, and you have that level 7, that level 6 Diviner, and you have one Drytron name on the field, you can go ahead and synchro summon into this beautiful dragon. So it comes up. I actually summoned it only once during the tournament, and I actually didn't use the effect. I just summoned it because I had enough attack to attack over one of my boys' Adignister synchro. So it came up in like a weird game state, and it worked out. So it was pretty awesome. And the last card is actually the Matisse. I see a lot of people cutting this, but this actually won me a round where I sent this off to the Diviner and popped their set face down, and then ended up being a rivalry of the Warlords, which would have destroyed me if I didn't pop it. So very, very happy. This one, you know, utility spots like this is what, you know, they're needed for. They win you kind of games. So it's great to have that kind of flexibility in an extra deck. That's the one thing I love about this deck, is that you can play random stuff like this, and when they come up big. So pretty cool. And then to the side deck, play Reboot and 2 Lancia. So I have, as you've seen, I don't really have that many hand traps, but the ones I do are for the deck that I do not like, is Tri Brigade. So Lancia mainly for that. I was originally going to play 2 Nibiru's, and I'm so happy I didn't, because that card would have been dead all tournament. Everyone was playing around it, and the decks I faced didn't really, you know, wouldn't have impacted much. So very happy about Lancia. This came up a lot. Searching this off Ben 10 won me a game, so it was really good. Red Reboot, you really play this because you have access to Zeus and Black Rose. So they activate something like Revolt, you Red Reboot it. You know, they could set whatever they want. You're going to pop the whole field anyway. So it works out that way. Then really the only other kind of hand trap I played was Psycho Reader for the mirror match, of course. I don't play Droll at all. And it's not because I don't think Droll, Droll's a good card. It's not because I don't think it's a good card or not. But the extra deck, the side deck space is very tight, and I wanted to kind of have a even balance. And Droll to me is only really good against Drytron, of course. But I wanted a card, if I was going to fit 3 spots in my side deck for Drytron, I wanted a card that actually did something and took care of the problem. And this is what Psycho Reader does. Droll, really derails them for a turn. Sometimes they could definitely play through it, like I mentioned multiple times in my deck. You could play through it, but the next turn they still can play. And most of the times you're not really opening the craziest hands in this deck, so you got to play a couple turns and get the gears going, especially in the mirror match. So I wanted a card that would take care of the problem and give me extreme advantage when I activate it, versus Droll is they still have their hand. At the end of the day, they still have the Drytrons in the graveyard. So next turn, if I don't kill them, they put a lot of pressure just by that. So that's why I think Psycho Reader is, for me, at least in this tournament, was a better option. I actually sided this in. It was kind of interesting because I actually sided this in against an Adignister player. So turn 1, I saw him doing his combo where he was reliantly heavily on the yellow Adignister in the graveyard. He was using Idol Reborn to bring it back. That's a light monster. So that's just the way he was doing his combo. So I read that and actually sided in a Psycho Reader for that situation to come up. Didn't come up. He did the combo the same way I thought he would. I just didn't draw it. But because I don't have that many, side-in options, this actually was sided in against Adignister, ironically enough. And it would have been really solid if it came up, but didn't draw it. Obviously, I drew this against the mirror, and it was exactly what you would think it was. Solid. All right, the rest are going to be more typical cards, except for the end. So Twin Twister, you play this because you want to out Imperial Order, and you want to out anti-spell. So that's kind of the main reason you play this over like a Lightning Storm or a Harpy's Feather Duster. It's also discarding is quote unquote free, not too free, but it's not as painful in this deck as in other decks because you can utilize the graveyard effects for Drytron, so it's not too bad. So 3 twin. I played 3 Dark Ruler No More. Played this over the droplets for a couple reasons. So in this deck, as I mentioned, you don't always open optimal, so your hands are very weird. And in the case of droplets, you are sometimes having very difficult decisions, sending that 1 or 2 cards out of your hand and really kind of bricking even more. So you're not always going to open the Drytron names, is what I'm trying to say. You're not always going to open perfect. And in theory, droplets is pretty solid in this deck. But Dark Ruler is actually much better from my testing. There's one cool thing you could do with droplets. It helps you play around draw a lot better. So for an example, you can, activate Alpha, search Ben 10. And then on Resolution, if you're going second and they have a monster on the field, on Resolution, you can use turn player priority, activate the droplet, send a monster, and negate whatever monster they have on field, and they can't draw on the resolution of that because they can't chain a monster effect to droplets. And then in the new chain, droplets was the last thing to activate. So they can't draw off that basically. So it helps you play in one specific instance around draw, but then they could just draw you the next time you search, which will be probably when you tribute the Ben 10 off the Zeta or something like that. So it helps you playing around draw, but this card is just much more impactful. Every time I drew it, I think every time I drew it, I won. So yeah, Dark Ruler is really solid going second. It helps you destroy. Especially in the mirror match, it really helps you destroy. Because a lot of people don't play around it. And then for me, to play around it, I side in 3, a Pointer of the Red Lotus. This card is amazing. So because I play talents, I cycle, after they draw me, I cycle another card, so they're down 2 cards. And then I appoint her, and then they're going to be down another card. I take away. I just have so much knowledge of their hand that you can play optimal with that. One time I drew it 2 of them, and it was like overkill because I was going to win regardless. I full comboed, but it was just crazy. You don't really mind revealing your hand because the majority of the time, especially if they're a good player, they're going to know exactly what's in your hand because you're searching your entire hand, you're searching the fairies. So there's not really like free information you're giving. It's just reminding them, hey, this is what I searched. So this card's really solid in this deck. I absolutely 100% will continue to play it. This card's amazing. So that's really it. I played a lot of mirrors. I played a lot of Tri-Brigades. My losses were round 1 to actually the mirror. He actually kept Ash in game 3 and Ash my Cyber Emergency, which won him the game because I had a Gamma. I think my hand was like, yeah, this was my hand. I had like 3 cards in hand. I had a Gamma, Orange, and Cyber. I activate Cyber, he Ashes it, and that's kind of game. I had no other resources to go with. I don't recommend keeping Ash in against this deck, but in that instance, it did help him win. So congratulations to that guy. So that was round 1, and then I lost the last round of the tournament, round 8, to my boy there, who actually ended up getting second place with Tri-Brigades. Game 3, he went first, and he just had a crazy hand. Yeah, he full comboed, and then at the end of the full combo, he had a draw, an Ash, and a Nib still in hand. And I ended up actually bricking. It was actually the worst brick I had all tournament. I had a... Let me show you guys. I had a Delta. I had an Idatin. I had a Red Reboot. And what else was there? It was like some random stuff that was not going to help me at all. It was like 2 other blanks. And it was just not... like I wasn't going to win. So Yeah, it didn't. It just didn't matter. I bricked so hard. So yeah, so that was kind of that. That was like my tournament experience. Really, really awesome. The event is amazing. If you never played an Extravaganza, every time that I play in one, they get better and better. So kudos to the organizers. And yeah, hopefully we can top the Remote Duel Invitational Qualifier, and hopefully get on Konami's stream, and we'll check it out. But if you guys have any questions, comment below. I'll be happy to answer. This is my current Drytron deck profile. Things might change. I might put in the instant fusion, or I definitely probably will put it in just to test it out and see how it goes. I don't know exactly what I'll take out from the extra deck, but I have to check it out and see what's good. But let me know if you guys have any further questions, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.